Chapter 15. And in the 5th year of the 4th week of this Jubilee, 1979 a.m., in the 3rd month, in the middle of the month, Abram celebrated the feast of the first fruits of the grain harvest. And he offered new offerings on the altar, the first fruits of the produce, to the Lord, a heifer and a goat and a sheep on the altar as a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. Their fruit offerings and their drink offerings he offered upon the altar with frankincense. But the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Approve yourself before me and be perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him and said, Behold, my ordinance is with you, and you shall be the father of many nations. Neither shall your name any more be called Abram, but your name from henceforth, even forever, shall be Abraham. For the father of many nations have I made you. And I will make you very great, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come forth from you. And I shall establish my covenant between me and you, and your seed after you, throughout their generations, for an eternal covenant, so that I may be a God to you, and to your seed after you. And I will give to you and to your seed after you the land where you have been a sojourner, the land of Canaan, that you may possess it forever. And I will be their God. And the Lord said to Abraham, And as for you, keep my covenant, you and your seed after you. And circumcise every male among you, and circumcise your foreskins. And it shall be a token of an eternal covenant between me and you. And the child on the 8th day you shall circumcise, every male throughout your generations, him that is born in the house, or whom you have bought with money from any stranger, whom you have acquired who is not of your seed. He that is born in your house shall surely be circumcised, and those whom you have bought with money shall be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an eternal ordinance. And the uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin on the 8th day, that soul shall be cut off from his people, for he has broken my covenant. And God said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, her name shall no more be called Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her, and give you a son by her. And I will bless him, and he shall become a nation, and the kings of nations shall proceed from him. And Abraham fell on his face, and rejoiced, and said in his heart, Shall a son be born to him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bring forth? And Abraham said to God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. And God said, Yea, and Sarah also shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him, an everlasting covenant, and for his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, also have I heard you. And behold, I will bless him, and make him great, and multiply him exceedingly. And he shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you, in these days, in the next year. And he left off speaking with him. And God went up from Abraham. And Abraham did according as God had said to him. And he took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and whom he had bought with his money, every male in his house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin. And on the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and all the men of his house, and those born in the house, and all those whom he had bought with money from the children of the stranger were circumcised with him. This law is for all the generations forever, and there is no circumcision of the days, and no omission of 1 day out of the 8 days, for it is an eternal ordinance, ordained and written on the heavenly tablets. And every one that is born, the flesh of whose foreskin is not circumcised on the 8th day, belongs not to the children of the covenant which the Lord made with Abraham, but to the children of destruction. Nor is there moreover any sign on him that he is the Lord's, but he is destined to be destroyed and slain from the earth, and to be rooted out of the earth, for he has broken the covenant of the Lord our God. For all the angels of the presence and all the angels of sanctification have been so created from the day of their creation, and the angels of sanctification he has sanctified Israel, that they should be with him and with his holy angels. And command the children of Israel, and let them observe the sign of this covenant for their generations as an eternal ordinance, and they will not be rooted out of the land. For the command is ordained for a covenant, that they should observe it forever among all the children of Israel. For Ishmael and his sons, and his brothers, and Esau, the Lord did not cause to approach him. And he chose them not because they are the children of Abraham, because he knew them, but he chose Israel to be his people, and gathered it from amongst all the children of men. For there are many nations and many peoples, and all are his, and over all has he placed spirits in authority to lead them astray from him. But over Israel he did not appoint any angel or spirit, for he alone is their ruler. And he will preserve them and require them at the hand of his angels and his spirits, and at the hand of all his powers, in order that he may preserve them and bless them, that they may be his, and he may be theirs, from henceforth forever. And now I announce to you that the children of Israel will not keep true to this ordinance, and they will not circumcise their sons according to all this law. For in the flesh of their circumcision they will omit this circumcision of their sons, and all of them, sons of Beliar, will leave their sons uncircumcised as they were born. And there will be great wrath from the Lord against the children of Israel, because they have forsaken his covenant, and turned aside from his word, and provoked and blasphemed, inasmuch as they do not observe the ordinance of this law. For they have treated their members like the Gentiles, so that they may be removed and rooted out of the land. And there will no more be pardon or forgiveness to them, so that there should be forgiveness and pardon for all the sin of this eternal error. Chapter 16. And on the new moon of the 4th month we appeared to Abraham at the oak of Mamre, and we talked with him, and we announced to him that a son would be given to him by Sarah his wife. And Sarah laughed, for she heard that we had spoken these words with Abraham, and we admonished her, and she became afraid, and denied that she had laughed on account of the words. And we told her the name of her son, and his name is ordained and written in the heavenly tablets, i.e., Isaac. And that when we returned to her at a set time, she would have conceived a son. And in this month the Lord executed his judgments on Sodom and Gomorrah and Zeboim, and all the region of the Jordan, and he burned them with fire and brimstone, and destroyed them until this day, even as, lo, I have declared to you all their works, that they are wicked and sinners exceedingly, and that they defile themselves, and commit fornication in their flesh, and work uncleanness on the earth. And in like manner God will execute judgment on the places where they have done according to the uncleanness of the Sodomites, like to the judgment of Sodom. But Lot we saved, for God remembered Abraham, and sent him out from the midst of the overthrow. And he and his daughters committed sin upon the earth, such as had not been on earth since the days of Adam till his time. for the man lay with his daughters. And behold, it was commanded and engraved concerning all his seed on the heavenly tablets, to remove them and root them out, and to execute judgment upon them, like the judgment of Sodom, and to leave no seed of the man on earth on the day of condemnation. And in this month Abraham moved from Hebron, and departed and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur in the mountains of Gerar. And in the middle of the 5th month he moved from there and dwelt at the well of the oath. And in the middle of the 6th month the Lord visited Sarah, and did to her as he had spoken, and she conceived. And she bore a son in the 3rd month. And in the middle of the month, at the time which the Lord had spoken to Abraham, on the festival of the firstfruits of the harvest, Isaac was born. And Abraham circumcised his son on the 8th day. He was the first that was circumcised according to the covenant which is ordained forever. And in the 6th year of the 4th week we came to Abraham, to the well of the oath, and we appeared to him, as we had told Sarah that we should return to her, and she would have conceived a son. And we returned in the 7th month, and found Sarah with child before us. And we blessed him. And we announced to him all the things which had been decreed concerning him, that he should not die till he should beget 6 sons more, and should see them before he died, but that in Isaac should his name and seed be called. And that all the seed of his sons should be Gentiles, and be reckoned with the Gentiles. But from the sons of Isaac one should become a holy seed, and should not be reckoned among the Gentiles. For he should become a portion of the Most High, and all his seed had fallen into the possession of God, that it should be to the Lord a people for his possession above all nations, and that it should become a kingdom and priests and a holy nation. And we went our way, and we announced to Sarah all that we had told him, and they both rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And he built there an altar to the Lord who had delivered him, and who was making him rejoice in the land of his sojourning. And he celebrated a festival of joy in this month 7 days, near the altar which he had built at the well of the oath. And he built booths for himself and for his servants on this festival, and he was first to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles on the earth. And during these 7 days he brought each day to the altar a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 oxen, 2 rams, 7 sheep, 1 he-goat for a sin offering, that he might atone thereby for himself and for his seed. And as a thank offering, 7 rams, 7 kids, 7 sheep, and 7 he-goats, and their fruit offerings, and their drink offerings. And he burnt all the fat thereof on the altar, a chosen offering to the Lord for a sweet-smelling savour. And morning and evening he burnt fragrant substances, frankincense, and galbanum, and stacte, and nard, and myrrh, and spice, and costum. All these 7 he offered, crushed, mixed together in equal parts, and pure. And he celebrated this feast during 7 days, rejoicing with all his heart and with all his soul, he and those who were in his house. And there was no stranger with him, nor any that was uncircumcised. And he blessed his Creator who had created him in his generation. For he had created him according to his good pleasure. For he knew and perceived that from him would arise the plant of righteousness for the eternal generations, and from him a holy seed, so that it should become like him who had made all things. And he blessed and rejoiced, and he called the name of this festival the festival of the Lord, a joy acceptable to the Most High God. And we blessed him forever, and all his seed after him throughout all the generations of the earth, because he celebrated this festival in its season, according to the testimony of the heavenly tablets. For this reason it is ordained on the heavenly tablets concerning Israel, that they shall celebrate the Feast of the Tabernacles 7 days with joy, in the 7th month, acceptable before the Lord, a statute forever throughout their generations, every year. And to this there is no limit of days, for it is ordained forever regarding Israel that they should celebrate it, and dwell in booths, and set wreaths upon their heads, and take leafy boughs and willows from the brook. And Abraham took branches of palm trees, and the fruit of goodly trees, and every day, going round the altar with the branches 7 times a day in the morning, he praised and gave thanks to his God for all things in joy. Chapter 17. And in the first year of the 5th week, Isaac was weaned in this Jubilee, 1982 a.m. And Abraham made a great banquet in the 3rd month, on the day his son Isaac was weaned. And Ishmael, the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, was before the face of Abraham, his father, in his place. And Abraham rejoiced, and blessed God, because he had seen his sons, and had not died childless. And he remembered the words which he had spoken to him on the day on which Lot had departed from him. And he rejoiced, because the Lord had given him seed upon the earth, to inherit the earth. And he blessed with all his mouth the Creator of all things. And Sarah saw Ishmael playing and dancing, and Abraham rejoiced with great joy. And she became jealous of Ishmael, and said to Abraham, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman will not be heir with my son Isaac." And the thing was grievous in Abraham's sight, because of his maidservant and because of his son, that he should drive them from him. And God said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in your sight, because of the child and because of the bondwoman. In all that Sarah has said to you, hearken to her words and do them. For in Isaac shall your name and seed be called. But as for the son of this bondwoman, I will make him a great nation, because he is of your seed." And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and placed them on the shoulders of Hagar and the child, and sent her away. And she departed, and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water in the bottle was spent, and the child thirsted, and was not able to go on, and fell down. And his mother took him and cast him under an olive tree, and went and sat down near him, at the distance of a bowshot. For she said, "Let me not see the death of my child." And as she sat, she wept. And an angel of God, one of the holy ones, said to her, "Why do you weep, Hagar? Arise, take the child, and hold him in your hand. For God has heard your voice, and has seen the child." And she opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled her bottle with water, and she gave her child a drink. And she arose and went towards the wilderness of Paran. And the child grew and became an archer, and God was with him, and his mother took for him a wife from among the daughters of Egypt. And she bore him a son. And he called his name Nebaioth, for she said, "The Lord was near to me when I called upon him." And it came to pass in the 7th week, in the 1st year thereof, 2003 a.m., in the 1st month of this Jubilee, on the 12th of this month, there were voices in heaven regarding Abraham, that he was faithful in all that he told him, and that he loved the Lord, and that in every affliction he was faithful. And the prince Mastema came and said before God, "Behold, Abraham loves Isaac, his son, and he delights in him above all things else. Bid him offer him as a burnt offering on the altar, and you will see if he will do this command. And you will know if he is faithful in everything wherein you try him." And the Lord knew that Abraham was faithful in all his afflictions, for he had tried him through his country, and with famine, and had tried him with the wealth of kings, and had tried him again through his wife, when she was torn from him, and with circumcision, and had tried him through Ishmael and Hagar, his maidservant, when he sent them away. and in everything wherein he had tried him, he was found faithful. And his soul was not impatient, and he was not slow to act, for he was faithful and a lover of the Lord. Chapter 18. And God said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I. Take your beloved son, whom you love, even Isaac, and go into the high country, and offer him on one of the mountains which I will point out to you. And he rose early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took his 2 young men with him, and Isaac his son, and cut the wood of the burnt offering, and he went to the place on the 3rd day. And he saw the place far off. And he came to a well of water, and he said to his young men, Stay here with the ass, and I and the lad shall go yonder. And when we have worshipped, we shall come again to you. And he took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand the fire and the knife, and they went both of them together to that place. And Isaac said to his father, Father, here am I, my son. Behold the fire, and the knife, and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering, father? God will provide for himself a sheep for a burnt offering, my son. And he drew near to the place of the mount of God. And he built an altar, and he placed the wood on the altar, and bound Isaac his son, and placed him on the wood which was upon the altar, and stretched forth his hand to take the knife, to slay Isaac his son. And I stood before him, and before the prince Mastema. And the Lord said, Bid him not to lay his hand on the lad, nor to do anything to him, for I have shown that he fears the Lord. And I called to him from heaven, and said to him, Abraham, Abraham! And he was terrified, and said, Behold, here am I. And I said to him, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do anything to him. For now I have shown that you fear the Lord, and have not withheld your son, your firstborn son, from me. And the prince Mastema was put to shame. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a ram caught by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it for a burnt offering, instead of his son. And Abraham called that place, The Lord has seen, so that it is said in the mount, The Lord has seen, that is, Mount Zion. And the Lord called Abraham by his name a second time from heaven, as he caused us to appear to speak to him in the name of the Lord. And he said, By myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your beloved son, from me, that in blessing I will bless you, and I multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your seed shall inherit the cities of its enemies, and in your seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. And I have shown to all that you are faithful to me in all that I have said to you. Go in peace. And Abraham went to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham, 12:10 a.m., dwelt by the well of the oath. And he celebrated this festival every year, 7 days with joy. And he called it the festival of the Lord, according to the 7 days during which he went and returned in peace. And accordingly has it been ordained and written on the heavenly tablets regarding Israel and its seed, that they should observe this festival 7 days with the joy of festival. Chapter 19. And in the 1st year of the 1st week, in the 42nd Jubilee, Abraham returned and dwelt opposite Hebron, that is, Kirjath Arba, 2 weeks of years. And in the 1st year of the 3rd week of this Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Hebron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and bury her. And we tried him to see if his spirit were patient, and he were not indignant in the words of his mouth. And he was found patient in this, and was not disturbed. For in patience of spirit he conversed with the children of Heth, to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead. And the Lord gave him grace before all who saw him, and he besought in gentleness the sons of Heth, and they gave him the land of the double cave over against Mamre, that is Hebron, for 400 pieces of silver. And they besought him, saying, We shall give it to you for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing, for he gave the price of the place, the money in full, and he bowed down before them twice. And after this he buried his dead in the double cave. And all the days of the life of Sarah were 127 years, that is, 2 jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. These are the days of the years of the life of Sarah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried, and he was found faithful, patient in spirit. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that God had said he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And he begged a place there to bury his dead, for he was found faithful, and was recorded on the heavenly tablets as a friend of God. And in the 4th year thereof he took a wife for his son Isaac, and her name was Rebekah, 2020 a.m., the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, the brother of Abraham, the sister of Laban, and daughter of Bethuel. And Bethuel was the son of Milcah, who was the wife of Nahor, the brother of Abraham. And Abraham took to himself a 3rd wife, and her name was Keturah, from among the daughters of his household servants, for Hagar had died before Sarah, and she bore him 6 sons, Zimram, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua, in the 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 2nd year thereof, Rebekah bore to Isaac 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. And 2046 a.m., Jacob was a smooth and upright man, and Esau was fierce, a man of the field, and hairy, and Jacob dwelt in tents. And the youths grew, and Jacob learned to write, but Esau did not learn, for he was a man of the field, and a hunter, and he learnt war, and all his deeds were fierce. And Abraham loved Jacob, but Isaac loved Esau. And Abraham saw the deeds of Esau, and he knew that in Jacob should his name and seed be called. And he called Rebekah and gave commandment regarding Jacob, for he knew that she too loved Jacob much more than Esau. And he said to her, My daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be my stead on the earth, and for a blessing in the midst of the children of men, and for the glory of the whole seed of Shem. For I know that the Lord will choose him to be a people for possession to himself, above all peoples that are upon the face of the earth. And behold, Isaac my son loves Esau more than Jacob, but I see that you truly love Jacob. Add still further to your kindness to him, and let your eyes be upon him in love. For he shall be a blessing to us on the earth, and from henceforth to all generations of the earth. Let your hands be strong, and let your heart rejoice in your son Jacob. For I have loved him far beyond all my sons. He shall be blessed forever, and his seed shall fill the whole earth. If a man can number the sand of the earth, his seed also shall be numbered. and all the blessings wherewith the Lord has blessed me, and my seed shall belong to Jacob, and his seed always. And in his seed shall my name be blessed, and the name of my fathers, Shem, and Noah, and Enoch, and Mahalalel, and Enosh, and Seth, and Adam. And these shall serve to lay the foundations of the heaven, and to strengthen the earth, and to renew all the luminaries which are in the firmament. And he called Jacob before the eyes of Rebekah his mother, and kissed him, and blessed him, and said, Jacob, my beloved son, whom my soul loves, may God bless you from above the firmament, and may he give you all the blessings wherewith he blessed Adam, and Enoch, and Noah, and Shem, and all the things of which he told me, and all the things which he promised to give me. May he cause to cleave to you, and to your seed forever, according to the days of heaven above the earth. And the spirits of Mastema shall not rule over you, or over your seed, to turn you from the Lord, who is your God, from henceforth, forever. And may the Lord God be a father to you, and you the firstborn son, and to the people always. Go in peace, my son. And they both went forth together from Abraham. And Rebekah loved Jacob with all her heart and with all her soul, very much more than Esau. But Isaac loved Esau much more than Jacob. Chapter 20. And in the 42nd Jubilee, in the first year of the 7th week, Abraham called Ishmael, 2052, or 2045 a.m., and his 12 sons, and Isaac and his 2 sons, and the 6 sons of Keturah and their sons. And he commanded them that they should observe the way of the Lord, that they should work righteousness, and love each his neighbor, and act on this manner amongst all men, that they should each so walk with regard to them as to do judgment and righteousness on the earth, that they should circumcise their sons, according to the covenant which he had made with them, and not deviate to the right hand or the left of all the paths which the Lord had commanded us, and that we should keep ourselves from all fornication and uncleanness, and renounce from amongst us all fornication and uncleanness. And if any woman or maid commit fornication amongst you, burn her with fire, and let them not commit fornication with her after their eyes and their heart. And let them not take to themselves wives from the daughters of Canaan, for the seed of Canaan will be rooted out of the land. And he told them of the judgment of the saints, and the judgment of the Sodomites, how they had been judged on account of their wickedness, and had died on account of their fornication, and uncleanness, and mutual corruption through fornication. And guard yourselves from all fornication and uncleanness, and from all pollution of sin, lest you make our name a curse, and your whole life a hissing, and all your sons to be destroyed by the sword, and you become accursed like Sodom, and all your remnant as the sons of Gomorrah. I implore you, my sons, love the God of heaven, and cleave to all his commandments, and walk not after their idols, and after their uncleanness, and make not for yourselves molten or graven gods, for they are vanity, and there is no spirit in them. For they are work of men's hands, and all who trust in them trust in nothing. Serve them not, nor worship them, but serve the Most High God, and worship him continually, and hope for his countenance always, and work uprightness and righteousness before him, that he may have pleasure in you, and grant you his mercy. and send rain upon you morning and evening, and bless all your works which you have wrought upon the earth, and bless your bread and your water, and bless the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your land, and the herds of your cattle, and the flocks of your sheep. And you will be for a blessing on the earth. And all nations of the earth will desire you, and bless your sons in my name, that they may be a blessing as I am. And he gave to Ishmael and to his sons, and to the sons of Keturah, gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son. And he gave everything to Isaac his son. And Ishmael and his sons, and the sons of Keturah and their sons, went together and dwelt from Paran to the entering in of Babylon, in all the land which is towards the east, facing the desert. And these mingled with each other, and their name was called Arabs and Ishmaelites. Chapter 21. And in the 6th year of the 7th week of this Jubilee, Abraham called Isaac his son, 2057, or 2050 a.m., and commanded him, saying, I am become old, and know not the day of my death, and am full of my days. And behold, I am 175 years old, and throughout all the days of my life I have remembered the Lord, and sought with all my heart to do his will, and to walk uprightly in his ways. My soul has hated idols, and I have despised those that served them. And I have given my heart and spirit that I might observe to do the will of him who created me. For he is the living God, and he is holy and faithful, and he is righteous beyond all. And there is with him no accepting of men's persons, and no accepting of gifts. For God is righteous, and executes judgment on all those who transgress his commands and despise his covenant. My son, observe his commandments, and his ordinances, and his judgments, and do not walk after the abominations, and after the graven images, and after the molten images. And eat no blood at all of animals or cattle or of any bird which flies in the heaven. And if you slay a victim as an acceptable peace offering, slay it and pour out its blood upon the altar, and all the fat of the offering offer on the altar with fine flour, and the meat offering mingled with oil, with its drink offering. Offer them all together on the altar of burnt offering. It is a sweet savour before the Lord. And you will offer the fat of the sacrifice of thank offerings on the fire which is upon the altar, and the fat which is on the belly, and all the fat on the inwards and the 2 kidneys, and all the fat that is upon them, and upon the loins and liver you shall remove, together with the kidneys, and offer all these for a sweet savour, acceptable before the Lord. And with its meat offering, and with its drink offering, for a sweet savour, the bread of the offering to the Lord. And eat its meat on that day and on the 2nd day, and do not let the sun on the 2nd day go down upon it, till it is eaten. And let nothing be left over for the 3rd day, for it is not acceptable, for it is not approved. And let it no longer be eaten, and all who eat thereof will bring sin upon themselves. For thus I have found it written in the books of my forefathers, and in the words of Enoch, and in the words of Noah. And on all your oblations you shall throw salt. And do not let the salt of the covenant be lacking in all your oblations before the Lord. And as regards the wood of the sacrifices, beware lest you bring other wood for the altar in addition to these: cypress, bay, almond, fir, pine, cedar, savin, fig, olive, myrrh, laurel, aspalathus. And of these kinds of wood
lay upon the altar under the sacrifice, such as have been tested as to their appearance. And do not lay thereon any split or dark wood, but hard and clean, without fault, a sound and new growth. And do not lay thereon old wood, for its fragrance is gone, for there is no other fragrance in it as before. Besides these kinds of wood, there is none other that you should place on the altar. For a fragrance is dispersed, and the smell of its fragrance does not go up to heaven. Observe this commandment, and do it, my son, that you may be upright in all your deeds. And at all times be clean in your body, and wash yourself with water before you approach to offer on the altar. And wash your hands and your feet before you draw near to the altar. And when you are done sacrificing, wash again your hands and your feet. And let no blood appear upon you, nor upon your clothes. Be on your guard, my son, against blood. Be on your guard exceedingly. Cover it with dust, and do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Eat no blood whatever, and take no gifts for the blood of man, lest it be shed with impunity, without judgment. For it is the blood that is shed that causes the earth to sin, and the earth cannot be cleansed from the blood of man, save by the blood of him who shed it. And take no present or gift for the blood of man, blood for blood, that you may be accepted before the Lord, the Most High God. For he is the defense of the good, and that you may be preserved from all evil, and that he may save you from every kind of death. I see, my son, that all the works of the children of men are sin and wickedness, and all their deeds are uncleanness, and an abomination, and a pollution, and there is no righteousness with them. Beware lest you should walk in their ways, and tread in their paths, and sin of sin to death before the Most High God. Else he will hide his face from you, and give you back into the hands of your transgression, and root you out of the land, and your seed likewise from under heaven. And your name and your seed shall perish from the whole earth. Turn away from all their deeds and all their uncleanness, and observe the ordinance of the Most High God, and do his will, and be upright in all things, and he will bless you in all your deeds, and will raise up from you a plant of righteousness through all the earth, throughout all generations of the earth. And my name and your name shall not be forgotten under heaven forever. Go, my son, in peace. May the Most High God, my God and your God, strengthen you to do his will. And may he bless all your seed and the residue of your seed for generations forever, with all righteous blessings, that you may be a blessing on all the earth.
And he went out from him, rejoicing. Chapter 22. And it came to pass in the first week, in the 44th Jubilee, in the second year, that is, the year in which Abraham died, that Isaac and Ishmael came from the well of the oath to celebrate the Feast of Weeks, that is, the feast of the first fruits of the harvest, to Abraham their father. And Abraham rejoiced because his 2 sons had come. For Isaac had many possessions in Beersheba, and Isaac was wont to go and see his possessions and to return to his father. And in those days Ishmael came to see his father, and they both came together. And Isaac offered a sacrifice for a burnt offering, and presented it on the altar of his father which he had made in Hebron. And he offered a thank offering, and made a feast of joy before Ishmael his brother. And Rebekah made new cakes from the new grain, and gave them to Jacob her son, to take them to Abraham his father from the first fruits of the land, that he might eat and bless the Creator of all things before he died. And Isaac too sent by the hand of Jacob to Abraham a best thank offering, that he might eat and drink. And he did eat and drank, and blessed the Most High God, who has created heaven and earth, who has made all the fat things of the earth, and given them to the children of men, that they might eat and drink and bless their Creator.
And now I give thanks to you, my God, because you have caused me to see this day. Behold, I am 160 years, an old man and full of days, and all my days have been to me peace. The sword of the adversary has not overcome me in all that you have given me and my children all the days of my life to this day. My God, may your mercy and your peace be upon your servant, and upon the seed of his sons, that they may be to you a chosen nation, and an inheritance from amongst all the nations of the earth, from henceforth to all the days of the generations of the earth, to all the ages.
And he called Jacob and said,
My son Jacob, may the God of all bless you and strengthen you to do righteousness, and his will before him. And may he choose you and your seed, that you may become a people for his inheritance according to his will, always. Jacob, my son, draw near and kiss me.
And he drew near and kissed him. And he said,
Blessed be my son Jacob, and all the sons of God Most High, to all the ages. May God give to you a seed of righteousness, and some of your sons may he sanctify in the midst of the whole earth. May nations serve you, and all the nations bow themselves before your seed. Be strong in the presence of men, and exercise authority over all the seed of Seth. Then your ways and the ways of your sons will be justified, so that they shall become a holy nation. May the God Most High give you all the blessings wherewith he has blessed me, and wherewith he blessed Noah and Adam. May they rest on the sacred head of your seed from generation to generation, forever. And may he cleanse you from all unrighteousness and impurity, that you may be forgiven all the transgressions which you have committed ignorantly. May he strengthen you and bless you, and may you inherit the whole earth. And may he renew his covenant with you, that you may be to him a nation for his inheritance for all the ages, and that he may be to you and to your seed a God in truth and righteousness throughout all the days of the earth. Jacob, my son, remember my words, and observe the commandments of Abraham, your father. Separate yourself from the nations, and do not eat with them. And do not do according to their works, and do not become their associate. For their works are unclean, and all their ways are a pollution, and an abomination, and uncleanness. They offer their sacrifices to the dead, and they worship evil spirits. And they eat over the graves, and all their works are vanity and nothingness. They have no heart to understand, and their eyes do not see what their works are. How they err in saying to a piece of wood, "You are my God," and to a stone, "You are my Lord, and you are my deliverer." And they have no heart. And as for you, my son Jacob, may the Most High God help you, and the God of heaven bless you, and remove you from their uncleanness and from all their error. Beware, my son Jacob, of taking a wife from any seed of the daughters of Canaan, for all his seed is to be rooted out of the earth. For owing to the transgression of Ham, Canaan erred, and all his seed shall be destroyed from off the earth, and all the residue thereof. And none springing from him shall be saved on the day of judgment. And as for all the worshippers of idols and the profane, there shall be no hope for them in the land of the living, and there shall be no remembrance of them on the earth. For they shall descend into Sheol, and into the place of condemnation they shall go. As the children of Sodom were taken away from the earth, so will all those who worship idols be taken away. Fear not, my son Jacob, and do not be dismayed, O son of Abraham. May the God Most High preserve you from destruction, and from all the paths of error may he deliver you. This house have I built for myself, that I might put my name upon it on the earth. It is given to you and to your seed forever, and it will be named the house of Abraham. For you will build my house and establish my name before God forever. Your seed and your name will stand throughout all generations of the earth.
And he ceased commanding him and blessing him. And the two lay together on one bed. And Jacob slept in the bosom of Abraham, his father's father. And he kissed him 7 times. And his affection and his heart rejoiced over him. And he blessed him with all his heart and said, "The Most High God, the God of all, the Creator of all, who brought me forth from Ur of the Chaldees, that he might give me this land to inherit it forever, and that I might establish a holy seed. Blessed be the Most High forever." And he blessed Jacob and said, "My son, over whom with all my heart and my affection I rejoice, may your grace and your mercy be lifted up upon him and upon his seed always. And do not forsake him, nor set him at naught from henceforth to the days of eternity. And may your eyes be opened upon him and upon his seed, that you may preserve him and bless him, and may sanctify him as a nation for your inheritance. And bless him with all your blessings from henceforth to all the days of eternity, and renew your covenant and your grace with him and with his seed, according to all your good pleasure, to all the generations of the earth." Chapter 23. And he placed 2 fingers of Jacob on his eyes, and he blessed the God of gods, and he covered his face, and stretched out his feet, and slept the sleep of eternity, and was gathered to his fathers. And notwithstanding all this, Jacob was lying in his bosom, and he knew not that Abraham, his father's father, was dead. And Jacob awoke from his sleep, and behold, Abraham was cold as ice, And he said,
Father! Father!
But there was none that spoke, and he knew that he was dead. And he arose from his bosom, and ran and told Rebekah, his mother. And Rebekah went to Isaac in the night, and told him. And they went together, and Jacob with them, and a lamp was in his hand. And when they had gone in, they found Abraham lying dead. And Isaac fell on the face of his father, and wept, and kissed him. And the voices were heard in the house of Abraham, and Ishmael and his son arose, and wept over Abraham his father, he and all the house of Abraham. And they wept with a great weeping. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the double cave, near Sarah his wife, and they wept for him 40 days, all the men of his house, and Isaac and Ishmael, and all their sons, and all the sons of Keturah in their places. And the days of weeping for Abraham were ended. And he lived 3 jubilees and 4 weeks of years, 175 years, and completed the days of his life, being old and full of days. For the days of the forefathers of their life were 19 jubilees. And after the flood they began to grow less than 19 jubilees, and to decrease in jubilees, and to grow old quickly, and to be full of their days by reason of manifold tribulation, and the wickedness of their ways, with the exception of Abraham. For Abraham was perfect in all his deeds with the Lord, and well-pleasing in righteousness all the days of his life. And behold, he did not complete 4 jubilees in his life, when he had grown old by reason of the wickedness, and was full of his days. And all the generations which shall arise from this time until the day of the great judgment shall grow old quickly, before they complete 2 jubilees. And their knowledge shall forsake them by reason of their old age, and all their knowledge shall vanish away. And in those days, if a man live a jubilee and a half of years, they shall say regarding him, he has lived long, and the greater part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. For calamity follows on calamity, and wound on wound, and tribulation on tribulation, and evil tidings on evil tidings, and illness on illness, and all evil judgments, such as these, one with another, illness and overthrow, and snow, and frost, and ice, and fever, and chills, and torpor, and famine, and death, and sword, and captivity, and all kinds of calamities and pains. And all these shall come on an evil generation, which transgresses on the earth. Their works are uncleanness and fornication, and pollution, and abominations. Then they shall say, the days of our forefathers were many, even to 1,000 years, and were good. But behold, the days of our life, if a man has lived many, are 60 years and 10. And if he is strong, 80 years, and those evil. And there is no peace in the days of this evil generation. And in that generation the sons shall convict their fathers and their elders of sin and unrighteousness, and of the words of their mouth, and the great wickedness which they perpetrate, and concerning their forsaking the covenant which the Lord made between them and him, that they should observe and do all his commandments, and his ordinances, and all his laws, without departing either to the right hand or the left. For all have done evil, and every mouth speaks iniquity, and all their works are an uncleanness and an abomination, and all their ways are pollution, uncleanness, and destruction. Behold, the earth shall be destroyed on account of all their works, and there shall be no seed of the vine, and no oil. For their works are altogether faithless, and they shall all perish together, beasts and cattle and birds, and all the fish of the sea, on account of the children of men. And they shall strive one with another, the young with the old, and the old with the young, the poor with the rich, the lowly with the great, and the beggar with the prince, on account of the law and the covenant. For they have forgotten commandment, and covenant, and feasts, and months, and Sabbaths, and Jubilees, and all judgments. And they shall stand with bows and swords and war, to turn them back into the way. But they shall not return, until much blood has been shed on the earth, one by another. And those who have escaped shall not return from their wickedness to the way of righteousness, but they shall all exalt themselves to deceit and wealth, that they may each take all that is his neighbor's. And they shall name a great name, but not in truth, and not in righteousness. And they shall defile the Holy of Holies with their uncleanness, and the corruption of their pollution. And a great punishment shall befall the deeds of this generation from the Lord, and he will give them over to the sword, and to judgment, and to captivity, and to be plundered and devoured. And he will wake up against them the sinners of the Gentiles, who have neither mercy nor compassion, and who shall respect the person of none, neither old nor young, nor anyone. For they are more wicked and strong to do evil than all the children of men. And they shall use violence against Israel, and transgression against Jacob. And much blood shall be shed upon the earth. There shall be none to gather, and none to bury. In those days they shall cry aloud, and call and pray that they may be saved from the hand of sinners, the Gentiles. But none shall be saved. And the heads of the children shall be white with gray hair. And a child of 3 weeks shall appear old like a man of 100 years. And their stature shall be destroyed by tribulation and oppression. And in those days the children shall begin to study the laws, and to seek the commandments, and to return to the path of righteousness. And the days shall begin to grow many, and increase amongst the children of men, till their days draw near to 1,000 years, and to a greater number of years than before was the number of days. And there shall be no old man, nor one who is not satisfied with his days. For all shall be as children and youths, and all their days they shall complete and live in peace and in joy. And there shall be no Satan, nor any evil destroyer, for all their days shall be days of blessing and healing. And at that time the Lord will heal his servants. And they shall rise up and see great peace, and drive out their adversaries. And the righteous shall see and be thankful, and rejoice with joy forever and ever. And shall see all their judgments and all their curses on their enemies. And their bones shall rest in the earth, and their spirits shall have much joy. And they shall know that it is the Lord who executes judgment, and shows mercy to hundreds and thousands, and to all that love him. Moses, write down these words, for thus are they written, and they record them on the heavenly tablets for a testimony for the generations forever. Chapter 24. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham, that the Lord blessed Isaac his son. And he arose from Hebron, and went and dwelt at the well of the vision, in the 1st year of the 3rd week, 2073 a.m. of this Jubilee, 7 years. And in the 1st year of the 4th week, a famine began in the land, 2080 a.m., besides the first famine, which had been in the days of Abraham. And Jacob sawed lentil pottage, and Esau came from the field hungry. And he said to Jacob his brother, Give me some of this red pottage. And Jacob said to him, Sell to me your birthright, and I will give you bread, and also some of this lentil pottage. And Esau said in his heart, I shall die. Of what profit to me is this birthright? And he said to Jacob, I give it to you. And Jacob said,
Swear to me this day.
And he swore to him. And Jacob gave his brother Esau bread and pottage, and he ate till he was satisfied. And Esau despised his birthright. For this reason was Esau's name called Edom, on account of the red pottage which Jacob gave him for his birthright. And Jacob became the elder, and Esau was brought down from his dignity. And the famine was over the land, and Isaac departed to go down into Egypt in the 2nd year of this week, and went to the king of the Philistines to Gerar, to Abimelech. And the Lord appeared to him and said to him, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land that I shall tell you of, and sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your seed I will give this land, and I will establish my oath, which I swore to Abraham your father, and I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and will give to your seed all this land. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because your father obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, and my commandments, and my laws, and my ordinances, and my covenant. And now obey my voice, and dwell in this land. And he dwelt in Gerar 3 weeks of years. And Abimelech charged concerning him 2080 to 2101 a.m., and concerning all that was his, saying, Any man that shall touch him or anything that is his shall surely die. And Isaac waxed strong among the Philistines, and he got many possessions, oxen and sheep and camels and asses, and a great household. And he sowed in the land of the Philistines, and brought in 100-fold. And Isaac became exceedingly great, and the Philistines envied him. Now all the wells which the servants of Abraham had dug during the life of Abraham, the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, Go from us, for you are much mightier than we. And Isaac departed from there in the 1st year of the 7th week, and sojourned in the valleys of Gerar. And they dug again the wells of water which the servants of Abraham his father had dug, and which the Philistines had closed after the death of Abraham his father. And he called their names as Abraham his father had named them. And the servants of Isaac dug a well in the valley, and found living water. And the shepherds of Gerar strived with the shepherds of Isaac, saying, The water is ours. And Isaac called the name of the well Perversity, because they had been perverse with us. And they dug a 2nd well, and they strived for that also, and he called its name Enmity. And he arose from there, and they dug another well, and for that they did not strive. And he called the name of it Room. And Isaac said, Now the Lord has made room for us, and we have increased the land. And he went up from there to the well of the oath in the 1st year of the 1st week, in the 44th Jubilee, 2108 a.m. And the Lord appeared to him that night on the new moon of the 1st month, and said to him, I am the God of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and shall bless you, and surely multiply your seed as the sand of the earth, for the sake of Abraham, my servant. And he built an altar there, which Abraham his father had first built, and he called upon the name of the Lord, and he offered sacrifice to the God of Abraham his father. And they dug a well, and they found living water. And the servants of Isaac dug another well, and did not find water. And they went and told Isaac that they had not found water. And Isaac said, I have sworn this day to the Philistines, and this thing has been announced to us. And he called the name of that place the Well of the Oath, for there he had sworn to Abimelech and Ahazeth, and Phicol the prefect, his host. And Isaac knew that day that under constraint he had sworn to them to make peace with them. And Isaac on that day cursed the Philistines, and said, Cursed be the Philistines to the day of wrath and indignation from the midst of all nations. May God make them a derision and a curse and an object of wrath and indignation in the hands of the sinners, the Gentiles, and in the hands of the Kittim. Whoever escapes the sword of the enemy and the Kittim, may the righteous nation root out in judgment from under heaven. For they shall be the enemies and foes of my children throughout their generations upon the earth. And no remnant shall be left to them, nor one that shall be saved on the day of the wrath of judgment. For destruction and rooting out and expulsion from the earth is the whole seed of the Philistines reserved. And there shall no longer be left for these Caphtorim a name or a seed on the earth. For though he ascend to heaven, there shall he be brought down, and though he make himself strong on earth, there shall he be dragged forth. And though he hide himself amongst the nations, even from there shall he be rooted out. And though he descend into Sheol, there also shall his condemnation be great. And there also he shall have no peace. And if he go into captivity, by the hands of those that seek his life shall they slay him on the way, and neither name nor seed shall be left to him on all the earth. For into eternal malediction shall he depart. And thus it is written and engraved concerning him on the heavenly tablets, to do to him on the day of judgment, so that he may be rooted out of the earth. Chapter 25. And in the 2nd year of this week, in this Jubilee, Rebekah called Jacob her son, 21:09 a.m., and spoke to him, saying,
My son, do not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, as Esau your brother, who took 2 wives of the daughters of Canaan. They have embittered my soul with all their unclean deeds, for all their deeds are fornication and lust, and there is no righteousness with them, for their deeds are evil. And I, my son, love you exceedingly, and my heart and my affection bless you every hour of the day and watch of the night. And now, my son, hearken to my voice, and do the will of your mother, and do not take a wife of the daughters of this land, but only of the house of my father and of my father's kindred. You shall take a wife of the house of my father, and the Most High God will bless you, and your children shall be a righteous generation and a holy seed.
Then Jacob spoke to Rebekah his mother, and said to her, Behold, mother, I am 9 weeks of years old, and I neither know nor have I touched any woman, nor have I betrothed myself to any, nor even think of taking a wife of the daughters of Canaan. For I remember, mother, the words of Abraham our father, for he commanded me not to take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, but to take a wife from the seed of my father's house, and from my kindred. I have heard before that daughters have been born to Laban, your brother, and I have set my heart on them, to take a wife from amongst them. And for this reason I have guarded myself in my spirit against sinning or being corrupted in all my ways throughout all the days of my life. For with regard to lust and fornication, Abraham my father gave me many commands. And despite all that he has commanded me, these 22 years my brother has striven with me, and spoken frequently to me, and said, My brother, take to wife a sister of my 2 wives. But I refused to do as he has done. I swear before you, mother, that all the days of my life I will not take a wife from the daughters of the seed of Canaan, and I will not act wickedly, as my brother has done. Fear not, mother. Be assured that I will do your will, and walk in uprightness, and not corrupt my ways forever. Thereupon she lifted up her face to heaven, and extended the fingers of her hands, and opened her mouth, and blessed the Most High God, who had created the heaven and the earth. And she gave him thanks and praise. And she said, Blessed be the Lord God, and may his holy name be blessed forever and ever, who has given me Jacob
as a pure son and a holy seed. For he is yours, and yours shall his seed be continually, and throughout all the generations, forevermore. Bless him, O Lord, and place in my mouth the blessing of righteousness, that I may bless him.
And at that hour, when the Spirit of righteousness descended into her mouth, she placed both hands on the head of Jacob and said, Blessed are you, Lord of righteousness, and God of the ages, and may he bless you beyond all the generations of men. May he give you, my son, the path of righteousness, and reveal righteousness to your seed, and may he make your sons many during your life. And may they rise according to the number of the months of the year, and may their sons become many and great beyond the stars of heaven, and their numbers be more than the sand of the sea. And may he give them this goodly land, as he said he would give it to Abraham and to his seed after him always. And may they hold it as a possession forever. And may I see born to you, my son, blessed children during my life, and a blessed and holy seed may all your seed be. And as you have refreshed your mother's spirit during her life, the womb of her that bore you blesses you thus. My affection and my breasts bless you, and my mouth and my tongue praise you greatly. Increase and spread over the earth, and may your seed be perfect in the joy of heaven and earth forever. And may your seed rejoice, and on the great day of peace may it have peace. And may your name and your seed endure to all the ages. And may the Most High God be their God, and may the God of righteousness dwell in them. And by them may his sanctuary be built to all the ages. May he be that blessed. Blessed be he that blesses you. And all flesh that curses you falsely, may it be cursed. And she kissed him and said to him, May the Lord of the world love you, as the heart of your mother and her affection rejoice in you, and bless you. And she ceased from blessing. Chapter 26. And in the 7th year of this week, 21:14 a.m., Isaac called Esau, his elder son, and said to him, I am old, my son, and behold, my eyes are dim in seeing, and I know not the day of my death. And now take your hunting weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt and catch me venison, my son, and make me savory meat, such as my soul loves, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die. But Rebekah heard Isaac speaking to Esau, and Esau went forth early to the field to hunt and catch and bring home to his father. And Rebekah called Jacob her son, and said to him, Behold, I heard Isaac your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Hunt for me, and make me savory meat, and bring it to me, that I may eat, and bless you before the Lord, before I die. And now, my son, obey my voice in that which I command you. Go to your flock, and fetch me 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for your father, such as he loves. And you shall bring it to your father, and he may eat and bless you before the Lord, before he dies, and that you may be blessed. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Mother, I shall not withhold anything which my father would eat,
and which would please him. Only I fear, my mother, that he will recognize my voice and wish to touch me. And you know that I am smooth, and Esau my brother is hairy. And I shall appear before his eyes as an evil doer, and shall do a deed which he had not commanded me. And he will be angry with me, and I shall bring upon myself a curse, not a blessing.
And Rebekah his mother said to him,
Upon me be your curse, my son. Only obey my voice.
And Jacob obeyed the voice of Rebekah his mother, and went and fetched 2 good and fat kids of the goats, and brought them to his mother, and his mother made them savory meat, such as he loved. And Rebekah took the goodly raiment of Esau her elder son, which was with her in the house, and she clothed Jacob her younger son with them. And she put the skins of the kids upon his hands, and on the exposed parts of his neck. And she gave the meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And Jacob went in to his father, and said, I am your son, and have done according as you bid me. Arise and sit, and eat of that which I have caught, father, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac said to his son,
How have you found so quickly, my son?
And Jacob said,
Because the Lord your God caused me to find.
And Isaac said to him,
Come near, that I may feel you, my son, if you are my son Esau or not.
And Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said,
The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau.
And he did not discern him, because it was a dispensation from heaven to remove his power of perception, and Isaac did not discern, for his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's, so that he blessed him. And he said,
Are you my son Esau?
And he said,
I am your son.
And he said,
Bring near to me, that I may eat of that which you have caught, my son, that my soul may bless you.
And he brought near to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And Isaac his father said to him,
Come near and kiss me, my son.
And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and he blessed him, and said,
Behold, the smell of my son is the smell of a full field which the Lord has blessed. And may the Lord give you the dew of heaven, and the dew of the earth, and plenty of corn and oil. Let nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. And may all the blessings wherewith the Lord has blessed me, and blessed Abraham, my father, be imparted to you, and to your seed forever. Cursed be he that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you.
And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing his son Jacob, and Jacob had gone forth from Isaac his father, he hid himself. And Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also made savory meat, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, Let my father arise, and eat of my venison, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said to him,
Who are you?
And he said to him,
I am your firstborn, your son Esau. I have done as you commanded me.
And Isaac was very greatly astonished, and said,
Who is he that has hunted and caught and brought it to me? and I have eaten of all before you came, and have blessed him. And he shall be blessed, and all his seed forever.
And it came to pass, when Esau heard the words of his father Isaac, that he cried with an exceeding great and bitter cry, and said to his father,
Bless me, even me also, father.
And he said to him,
Thy brother came with guile, and has taken away your blessing.
And he said,
Now I know why his name is named Jacob. Behold, he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing.
And he said,
Have you not reserved a blessing for me, father?
And Isaac answered and said to Esau,
Behold, I have made him your lord, and all his brothers have I given to him for servants. And with plenty of corn and wine and oil have I strengthened him. And what now shall I do for you, my son?
And Esau said to Isaac his father,
Have you but one blessing, O father? Bless me, even me also, father.
And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac answered and said to him,
Behold, far from the dew of the earth shall be your dwelling, and far from the dew of heaven from above. And by your sword will you live, and you will serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you become great, and shake his yoke from off your neck, you shall sin a complete sin to death, and your seed shall be rooted out from under heaven.
And Esau kept threatening Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And he said in his heart,
May the days of mourning for my father now come, so that I may slay my brother Jacob.
Chapter 27. And the words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah in a dream. And Rebekah sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him,
Behold, Esau your brother will take vengeance on you, so as to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise and flee to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and stay with him a few days, until your brother's anger turns away, and he removes his anger from you, and forgets all that you have done. Then I will send and fetch you from there.
And Jacob said,
I am not afraid. If he wishes to kill me, I will kill him.
But she said to him,
Let me not be bereft of both my sons in one day.
And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother,
Behold, you know that my father has become old, and does not see because his eyes are dull. And if I leave him, it will be evil in his eyes, because I leave him and go away from you, and my father will be angry, and will curse me. I will not go. When he sends me, then only will I go.
And Rebekah said to Jacob,
I will go in and speak to him, and he will send you away.
And Rebekah went in and said to Isaac,
I loathe my life because of the 2 daughters of Heth, whom Esau has taken as wives. And if Jacob takes a wife from among the daughters of the land such as these, for what purpose do I further live? For the daughters of Canaan are evil.
And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and admonished him, and said to him,
Do not take a wife from any of the daughters of Canaan. Arise and go to Mesopotamia, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And God Almighty bless you, and increase and multiply you, that you may become a company of nations, and give you the blessings of my father Abraham, to you and to your seed after you, that you may inherit the land of your sojournings, and all the land which God gave to Abraham. Go, my son, in peace.
And Isaac sent Jacob away. And he went to Mesopotamia, to Laban, the son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's mother. And it came to pass, after Jacob had arisen to go to Mesopotamia, that the spirit of Rebekah was grieved after her son, and she wept. And Isaac said to Rebekah,
My sister, weep not on account of Jacob, my son, for he goes in peace, and in peace will he return. The Most High God will preserve him from all evil, and will be with him, for he will not forsake him all his days. For I know that his ways will be prospered in all things wherever he goes, until he returns in peace to us, and we see him in peace. Fear not on his account, my sister, for he is on the upright path, and he is a perfect man, and he is faithful, and will not perish. Weep not.
And Isaac comforted Rebekah on account of her son Jacob, and blessed him. And Jacob went from the well of the oath to go to Haran on the 1st year of the 2nd week in the 44th Jubilee. And he came to Luz on the mountains, that is Bethel, on the new moon of the 1st month of this week, 21:15 a.m. And he came to the place at evening, and turned from the way to the west of the road that night. And he slept there, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place, and laid it at his head under the tree. And he was journeying alone, and he slept. And he dreamed that night, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of the Lord ascended and descended on it. And he spoke to Jacob and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon you are sleeping, to you will I give it, and to your seed after you. And your seed shall be as dust of the earth, and you shall increase to the west, and to the east, to the north and the south. And in you and in your seed shall all families of the nations be blessed. And behold, I will be with you, and will keep you wherever you go. And I will bring you again into this land in peace, for I will not leave you until I do everything that I told you of. And Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Truly this place is the house of the Lord, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, Dreadful is this place, which is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob arose early in the morning, and took the stone which he had put under his head, and set it up as a pillar for a sign. And he poured oil upon the top of it, and he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of the place was Luz at the first. And Jacob vowed a vow to the Lord, saying, If the Lord will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God.
And this stone which I have set up as a pillar for a sign in this place shall be the Lord's house. And of all that you give me, I shall give 1/10 to you, my God.
Chapter 28. And he went on his journey, and came to the land of the east, to Laban, the brother of Rebekah. And he was with him, and served him for Rachel his daughter 1 week. And in the first year of the 3rd week, 21:22 a.m., he said to him, Give me my wife, for whom I have served you 7 years. And Laban said to Jacob, I will give you your wife. And Laban made a feast, and took Leah, his elder daughter, and gave her to Jacob as a wife, and gave her Zilpah, his handmaid, for a handmaid. And Jacob did not know, for he thought that she was Rachel. And he went in unto her, and behold, she was Leah. And Jacob was angry with Laban, and said to him, Why have you dealt with me like this? Did I not serve you for Rachel, and not for Leah? Why have you wronged me? Take your daughter, and I will go, for you have done evil to me. For Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. For Leah's eyes were weak, but her form was very handsome. But Rachel had beautiful eyes, and a beautiful and very handsome form. And Laban said to Jacob, It is not so done in our country to give the younger before the elder. And it is not right to do this, for thus it is ordained and written in the heavenly tablets, that no one should give his younger daughter before the elder, but the elder one gives first, and after her the younger. And the man who does so, they set down guilt against him in heaven. And none is righteous that does this thing, for this deed is evil before the Lord. And command the children of Israel that they do not do this thing. Let them neither take nor give the younger before they have given the elder, for it is very wicked. And Laban said to Jacob, Let the 7 days of the feast of this one pass by, and I will give you Rachel, that you may serve me another 7 years, that you may pasture my sheep as you did in the former week. And on the day when the 7 days of the feast of Leah had passed, Laban gave Rachel to Jacob, that he might serve him another 7 years. And he gave to Rachel Bilhah, the sister of Zilpah, as a handmaid. And he served yet another 7 years for Rachel, for Leah had been given to him for nothing. And the Lord opened the womb of Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a son, and he called his name Reuben, on the 14th day of the 9th month, in the 1st year of the 3rd week, 21:22 a.m. But the womb of Rachel was closed, for the Lord saw that Leah was hated, and Rachel loved. And again Jacob went in to Leah, and she conceived, and bore Jacob a 2nd son, and he called his name Simeon, on the 21st day of the 10th month, and in the 3rd year of this week, 21:24 a.m. And again Jacob went in to Leah, and she conceived, and bore him a 3rd son, and he called his name Levi, in the new moon of the 1st month, in the 6th year of this week, 21:27 a.m. And again Jacob went in to her, and she conceived, and bore him a 4th son, and he called his name Judah, on the 15th of the 3rd month, in the 1st year of the 4th week, 21:29 a.m. And on account of all this, Rachel envied Leah, for she did not bear, and she said to Jacob, Give me children. And Jacob said, Have I withheld from you the fruits of your womb? Have I forsaken you? And when Rachel saw that Leah had borne 4 sons to Jacob, Reuben and Simeon and Levi and Judah, she said to him, Go into Bilhah, my handmaid, and she will conceive, and bear a son to me. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. And he went in to her, and she conceived, and bore him a son, and he called his name Dan, on the 9th of the 6th month, in the 6th year of the 3rd week, 21:27 a.m. And Jacob went in to Bilhah a 2nd time, and she conceived, and bore Jacob another son, and Rachel called his name Naphtali, on the 5th of the 7th month, in the 2nd year of the 4th week, 21:30 a.m. And when Leah saw that she had become sterile and did not bear, she envied Rachel, and she also gave her handmaid Zilpah to Jacob to wife. And she conceived and bore a son, and Leah called his name Gad, on the 12th of the 8th month, in the 3rd year of the 4th week, 21:31 a.m. And he went in again to her, and she conceived, and bore him a second son, and Leah called his name Asher, on the 2nd of the 11th month, in the 5th year of the 4th week, 21:33 a.m. And Jacob went in to Leah, and she conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Issachar, on the 4th of the 5th month, in the 4th year of the 4th week, 21:32 a.m. And she gave him to a nurse. And Jacob went in again to her, and she conceived, and bore 2 children, a son and a daughter. And she called the name of the son Zabulon, and the name of the daughter Dinah, on the 7th of the 7th month, in the 6th year of the 4th week, 21:34 a.m. And the Lord was gracious to Rachel, and opened her womb, and she conceived, and bore a son, and she called his name Joseph, on the new moon of the 4th month, in the 6th year of this 4th week, 21:34 a.m. And in the days when Joseph was born, Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wives and sons, and let me go to my father Isaac, and let me make a house, for I have completed the years in which I have served you for your 2 daughters, and I will go to the house of my father." And Laban said to Jacob, "Stay with me for your wages, and pasture my flock for me again, and take your wages." And they agreed with one another that he should give him as his wages those of the lambs and kids which were born black and spotted and white. These were to be his wages. And all the sheep brought forth spotted and speckled and black, variously marked. And they brought forth again lambs like themselves. And all that were spotted were Jacob's, and those which were not were Laban's. And Jacob's possessions multiplied exceedingly, and he possessed oxen and sheep and asses and camels and men servants and maid servants. And Laban and his sons envied Jacob. And Laban took back his sheep from him, and he observed him with evil intent. Chapter 29. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Laban went to shear his sheep, for they were distant from him a 3 days' journey. And Jacob saw that Laban was going to shear his sheep. And Jacob called Leah and Rachel, and spoke kindly to them, that they should come with him to the land of Canaan. For he told them how he had seen everything in a dream, even all that he had spoken to him, that he should return to his father's house. And they said, "To every place where you go, we will go with you." And Jacob blessed the God of Isaac his father, and the God of Abraham his father's father. And he arose, and mounted his wives and his children, and took all his possessions, and crossed the river, and came to the land of Gilead. And Jacob hid his intention from Laban, and did not tell him. And in the 7th year of the 4th week, Jacob turned his face toward Gilead, in the 1st month, on the 21st thereof, 21:35 a.m. And Laban pursued after him, and overtook Jacob in the mountain of Gilead, in the 3rd month, on the 13th thereof. And the Lord did not let him injure Jacob, for he appeared to him in a dream by night, and Laban spoke to Jacob. And on the 15th of those days Jacob made a feast for Laban, and for all who came with him. And Jacob swore to Laban that day, and Laban also to Jacob, that neither should cross the mountain of Gilead to the other with evil purpose. And he made there a heap for a witness. Wherefore the name of that place is called the heap of witness, after this heap. But before they used to call the land of Gilead the land of the Rephaim. For it was the land of the Rephaim, and the Rephaim were born there. giants whose height was 10, 9, 8, down to 7 cubits. And their habitation was from the land of the children of Ammon to Mount Hermon, and the seats of their kingdom were Karnaim, and Ashtaroth, and Edrei, and Mizar, and Beon. And the Lord destroyed them because of the evil of their deeds. And the Amorites dwelt in their place, wicked and sinful, and there is no people today which has wrought to the full of all their sins, and they have no longer length of life on the earth. And Jacob sent away Laban, and he departed into Mesopotamia, the land of the east, and Jacob returned to the land of Gilead. And he passed over the Jabbok in the 9th month, on the 11th thereof. And on that day Esau, his brother, came to him, and he was reconciled to him, and departed from him into the land of Seir. And in the 1st year of the 5th week in this Jubilee, 2136 a.m., he crossed the Jordan, and dwelt beyond the Jordan, and he pastured his sheep from the sea of the Heap to Bethshan, and to Dothan, and to the forest of Akrabim. And he sent to his father Isaac of all his substance, clothing, and food, and meat, and drink, and milk, and butter, and cheese, and some dates of the valley. And he sent to his mother Rebekah also 4 times a year, between the times of the months, between plowing and reaping, and between autumn and the rain season, and between winter and spring, to the tower of Abraham. For Isaac had returned from the well of the oath, and gone up to the tower of his father Abraham, and he dwelt there apart from his son Esau. For in the days when Jacob went to Mesopotamia, Esau took to himself a wife, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael. And he gathered together all the flocks of his father and his wives, and went up and dwelt on Mount Seir, and left Isaac his father at the well of the oath alone. And Isaac went up from the well of the oath, and dwelt in the tower of Abraham his father, on the mountains of Hebron. And there Jacob sent all that he sent to his father and his mother from time to time, all they needed, and they blessed Jacob with all their heart and with all their soul. Chapter 30. And in the 1st year of the 6th week, 2143 a.m., he went up to Salem, to the east of Shechem, in peace, in the 4th month. And there they carried off Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, into the house of Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, and he lay with her, and defiled her, and she was a little girl, a child of 12 years. And he begged his father and her brothers that she might be given to him to wife. And Jacob and his sons were angry because of the men of Shechem, for they had defiled Dinah their sister, and they spoke to them with evil intent, and dealt deceitfully with them, and beguiled them. And Simeon and Levi came unexpectedly to Shechem, and executed judgment on all the men of Shechem, and slew all the men whom they found in it, and left not a single one remaining in it. They slew all in torments, because they had dishonored their sister Dinah. And thus let it not again be done from henceforth, that a daughter of Israel be defiled. For judgment is ordained in heaven against them, that they should destroy with the sword all the men of the Shechemites, because they had wrought shame in Israel. And the Lord delivered them into the hands of the sons of Jacob, that they might exterminate them with the sword, and execute judgment upon them, and that it might not thus again be done in Israel, that a virgin of Israel should be defiled. And if there is any man who wishes in Israel to give his daughter or his sister to any man who is of the seed of the Gentiles, he shall surely die, and they shall stone him with stones. For he hath wrought shame in Israel, and they shall burn the woman with fire, because she has dishonored the name of the house of her father, and she shall be rooted out of Israel. And let not an adulteress and no uncleanness be found in Israel throughout all the days of the generations of the earth. For Israel is holy unto the Lord, and every man who has defiled it shall surely die. They shall stone him with stones. For thus has it been ordained and written in the heavenly tablets regarding all the seed of Israel. He who defiles it shall surely die, and he shall be stoned with stones. And to this law there is no limit of days, and no remission, nor any atonement. But the man who has defiled his daughter shall be rooted out in the midst of all Israel, because he has given of his seed to Moloch, and wrought impiously so as to defile it. And Moses, command the children of Israel, and exhort them not to give their daughters to the Gentiles, and not to take for their sons any of the daughters of the Gentiles, for this is abominable before the Lord. For this reason I have written for you in the words of the law all the deeds of the Shechemites which they wrought against Dinah, and how the sons of Jacob spoke, saying, We will not give our daughter to a man who is uncircumcised, for that is a reproach to us. And it is a reproach to Israel, to those who live, and to those who take the daughters of the Gentiles. For this is unclean and abominable to Israel. And Israel will not be free from this uncleanness if it has a wife of the daughters of the Gentiles, or has given any of its daughters to a man who is of any of the Gentiles. For there will be a plague upon plague, and curse upon curse, and every judgment and plague and curse will come upon him, if he do this thing, or hide his eyes from those who commit uncleanness, or those who defile the sanctuary of the Lord, or those who profane his holy name. Then will the whole nation together be judged for all the uncleanness and profanation of this man. And there will be no respect of persons, and no consideration of persons, and no receiving at his hands of fruits and offerings and burnt offerings and fat, nor the fragrance of sweet savor, so as to accept it. And so fare every man or woman in Israel who defiles the sanctuary. For this reason I have commanded you, saying, Testify this testimony to Israel. See how the Shechemites fared, and their sons, how they were delivered into the hands of the two sons of Jacob, and they slew them under tortures, and it was reckoned to them for righteousness, and it is written down to them for righteousness. And the seed of Levi was chosen for the priesthood, and to be Levites, that they might minister before the Lord as we continually, and that Levi and his sons may be blessed forever. For he was zealous to execute righteousness and judgment and vengeance on all those who rose against Israel. And so they inscribe as a testimony in his favor on the heavenly tablets blessing and righteousness before the God of all. And we remember the righteousness which the man fulfilled during his life, at all periods of the year, until 1,000 generations they will record it. And it will come to him and to his descendants after him, and he has been recorded on the heavenly tablets as a friend and a righteous man. All this account I have written for you, and have commanded you to say to the children of Israel, that they should not commit sin, nor transgress the ordinances, nor break the covenant which has been ordained for them, but that they should fulfill it, and be recorded as friends. But if they transgress, or work uncleanness in every way, they will be recorded on the heavenly tablets as adversaries, and they will be destroyed out of the book of life, and they will be recorded in the book of those who will be destroyed, and with those who will be rooted out of the earth. And on the day when the sons of Jacob slew Shechem, a writing was recorded in their favor in heaven, that they had executed righteousness and uprightness, and vengeance on the sinners. And it was written for a blessing. And they brought Dinah their sister out of the house of Shechem, and they took captive everything that was in Shechem, their sheep, and their oxen, and their asses, and all their wealth, and all their flocks, and brought them all to Jacob their father. And he reproached them, because they had put the city to the sword, for he feared those who dwelt in the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And the dread of the Lord was upon all the cities which are round about Shechem, and they did not rise to pursue after the sons of Jacob, for terror had fallen upon them.